call now is being recorded. We are going to just be recording anything that happens in the main chat room, so what we're in right now. When you go into your breakout rooms, those parts of the conversation will not be recorded. In those breakout rooms, if you would like closed captioning, which is offered throughout the call, please message Kinsey Keck, and she will be able to assign you with that group. As I said, closed captioning is offered throughout the call. If you would like to turn on that feature, please select the closed captioning button on your screen and then select show subtitles. In that same menu is also the subtitle setting where you're able to change the size of your subtitles. Now, the Roundtable is thrilled to offer Face-to-Face at 4 as a free weekly digital learning series now through May 28th, due in large part by our generous sponsors. And I'm happy to share that today, this session is sponsored by M&T Bank, so thanks M&T. And also just a quick shout out to our Roundtable staff. Also on the line, we have Kinsey Keck, who's our Roundtable coordinator, and Michael Sorella, who is another member of our conference staff. Let's see, great, I think that's it for my updates. I'm now going to turn things over to our fabulous facilitators. On the line with us today, we have James Miles from Arts Corps, Lauren Jost from Spellbound Theater, Wéma Ragophala from Brooklyn Arts Council, and Laura Lee Williams from Wingspan. So take it away.
Greetings and salutations, everyone. I'm James Miles. I'm the Executive Director of Arts Corps. I use he, him pronouns. So excited to see so many lovely faces I recognize from my time living in New York. I'm out in Seattle now. But before we get into it, can we just go around our panelists and say our names, pronouns, and maybe a success or not a success that we've had during this self-quarantine. So I'll start. One success I've had is we ride bikes daily. One challenge I've had is we ride bikes daily. And it's tough to do that every day. Lauren.
Hey folks, Lauren Jost, she, her pronouns. I am an artistic director of Spellbound Theater as well as a freelance teaching artist for the New Victory Theater and Lifetime Arts and whoever else is in need of a early childhood teaching artist specialist. I am the parent to a 9-year-old and almost 11-year-old. I think one of my successes has been that both my children are having birthday parties last month and this month, and kind of coordinating successful and celebratory feeling birthday parties on digital platforms has felt like a really big success. One of the failures that I have had is that I am not a morning person, and now that we don't have to get anyone out the door for school, I am not the first person out of bed in the morning anymore. I've been finding it hard for me to stick to a schedule, even when the rest of my family is kind of on a schedule. Wéma?
Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here today. My name is Wéma Ragophala. I am the Arts and Education Manager at Brooklyn Arts Council. I'm also the founder of an arts and community engagement organization called Bridges, a Pan-African arts movement. I'm a parent, an auntie, collaborator, director, performing artist, and advocate for arts accessibility for people of all ages and abilities. And I am the parent of an amazing 15-year-old bassist. And I think one of the challenges that I have is keeping a high school student on task. It's not easy. And, you know, making sure to make space for growing independence and trust, but also making sure that he signs in and gets the work done. And one thing that I think we're doing well, we crafted a schedule that's working pretty well with us. And the meals are going great, actually. I just have to say, I'm enjoying getting fancy with our meals recently. And and really digging into some new flavors and experimenting with some things. So that's been a success, as well as our family game nights. So that's, so now I will pass the ball over to Laura Lee.
Hi, everyone. I'm Laura Lee Williams, and I am the Associate Education Director of in-school programs at Wingspan Arts. And I will actually be celebrating my 10-year anniversary this July. So I've been with the organization for almost 10 years. And when I'm not overseeing the in-school programs, I am overseeing my children at home. I have two. I have an almost 2-year-old, and I have a 6-year-old as well. My 6-year-old is actually doing his 2nd year of kindergarten. He has an individualized education program and a behavior intervention plan for his diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder. And some successes is that we all still love each other. And we've actually started some new family traditions that are particularly special. We've started watching a movie every Saturday night. And actually during this time is the first time that my 6-year-old has ever watched an entire movie from beginning to end. So I am so thrilled. And we have developed a flow of the day that is working for us. Some failures that we've had on my part is not recognizing when I need help and trying to do everything. So I've definitely learned my lessons over the past several weeks about asking for help and utilizing the other people on our lives to support us virtually. That is all.
Great, thank you. We're gonna break out into breakout sessions. Lauren will be with the babies to early young, early education. You know what I'm saying. I'll work with elementary students. Wéma, you'll be with middle and high school, and then Laura Lee is able to work with mixed age and those working with young people with special needs. Lauren, Wéma, should we say anything else before we go into this?
I just add that as a meetup, our role of facilitators is simply to just to facilitate. We're not presenting or experts in either parenting or having a good work-life home balance during quarantine. So this is really an opportunity for folks to be resources to each other and to share some ideas. So we have a couple of guiding questions that we'll talk about. But really, we're trying to formulate a platform where you guys can share some of your successes and questions with people who are possibly in a similar situation.
Yes, I agree. Just to add one more thing, I just posted a few minutes ago before we started that I'm excited about co-facilitating with my amazing co-facilitators that are working together. But this is an opportunity for us to learn and share together. So we encourage conversations. We encourage questions that we don't have answers to. And the other good part, while this is being recorded, the session inside of our breakout rooms is not being recorded. So you also don't have to feel like, I kind of want to ask this question, but I don't want it on the screen. Honestly, it's a good time to share whatever you're kind of dealing with. And even if you want to send a message in the chat function to one of us during facilitation that you don't want to speak out loud, we can do that too. We can speak some things that you're going through. If you don't want to be vocal about it directly, you can inbox us directly about that, okay? That's it.
So I think we're going to have Kinsey now open up the breakout rooms.
One of the prompts that we were thinking about is what is a bit of advice that we could offer to ourselves 7 weeks ago? Now having been through 7 weeks of this, what is it that looking back that we'd like to tell ourselves? But I'm not sure if I can just ask Wéma and Laura Lee and James, did you guys get a chance to discuss that question?
We did
We
not.
did not get a chance to discuss that question.
I spoke too much and I got nervous and I didn't get through all the questions. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was difficult to get it in 15 minutes, I have to tell you, but I absolutely loved our time together in a breakout room. It really felt like a space of support for parents that are, you know, sharing the same worlds. It's something about, it feels like sometimes we just got to hold hands. And that breakout room felt like we got some hands to hold. So we appreciated that time, but we definitely didn't get to that question. I don't know if your group did.
We did. We had a relatively small group in the baby group, and some of the things that were coming up was that some of our previous ideas about like what good engagement looks like and what good family time looks like and what enough screen time looks like. We're in a different world now, and that the reality of what we need as a family now, and are willing to kind of go along with and just giving is different, and giving ourselves a little bit of grace to adjust to that new reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. That was one of the comments from Lisa, is to be realistic and not, lower the bar about what we're doing. Grace is a great word, Wendy. For advice 7 weeks ago, what would I have given to myself? It'd be, you can't accomplish everything in the time allowed. You're going to have more stuff to do the next day. So don't, to your point, Lisa and Wendy, just don't rush it all. Don't feel so bad. Yeah.
I'm kind of wondering, since we have a little bit of time in this section to reflect back on the small group time, but then we didn't really have enough small group time, if maybe we can open up to this full group. Is there anybody who feels like they have a challenge that they're could use some support with? A question that you'd like to bounce off of this group of people who are all in a similar situation? You can either raise your hand in the Zoom, raise your hand visually like this in your video, or you can type into the chat, and we can share that out. You can also chat one of us directly if you'd like to ask a question but don't want to present it yourself to the whole, if you want to do it anonymously, I guess. And then Kinsey, can I ask you to check and see if anybody's got a hand raised, the digital hand? I'm not sure if I can see all of those at once.
I see Heather.
Heather?
Yeah.
Yes. So as I shared in the small group breakout, I have a 2-year-old daughter, and one of the biggest challenges for us right now is just trying to figure out how to get her excited about and to actually keep her mask on when we're outside of our home. So if anyone has come up with a solution for that for kids of any age, I would be ever so grateful. I feel like we're trying everything here and nothing has worked so far.
I have a friend of mine who's a psychologist shared this on Facebook, but she cut out little triangles and put them on coloring pages, like tape them on, or I think she might have even done it digitally, but of Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse and things like that, or characters that your child likes. So if you put a little triangle over their mouth, on the coloring page, basically just normalizing the mask look with their think favorite characters. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And then the other suggestion she had was also I think Woody from Toy Story and things like that, like using kind of, look, Woody has a bandana, so you can use your bandana. Just trying to find ways to basically normalize it, to make it fun for their characters, so then they want to dress up like that.
That's a great idea, Melissa.
I see that Eve Wolf also has their hand raised. If you would like to.
Yeah, hi.
Join us, Eve.
I don't know so my family is normally a 2-parent household. but we are currently separated from the other parent. My husband is in New York and has been for 8 weeks, and we are in Delaware. And I know a couple other people who are, you know, co-parents with 2 different households who, you know, having to figure out how do you find a regular balance of, you know, parenting time with the parent that the kids are separated with. I don't know if anyone else is in that situation. I'm trying to figure that out. Maybe just me.
Thanks, Eve. I'm sure that it is not just you. It might not be anybody with that specific example on that call, but I bet there's a lot of families who are in a similar boat. And I know we've talked to a few families in this community also, people who one parent is still working on site somewhere and not working out of the home. Where again, it's like, it feels like being a single parent, even when your partner's around, but not around.
Yeah. Also, within our group, one of our members was talking a lot about screen time, as I know that issue may be something that a lot of parents are dealing with right now. Sometimes it's really difficult for them to let go of screen time because all they want to do is play games or watch movies or different things like that. So the outcry of limiting screen time, regulating it, now screen time is like work-related time as well as play-related time, and really finding space to manage that balance. Does anyone have any suggestions for folks that might be dealing with that as well?
I do, but if someone else wants to speak first, please go for it. But that is, sorry, was somebody else?
No, I was saying, go ahead, Laura.
Oh, okay. So screen time has actually always been a challenging point with my older son with an autism diagnosis. I don't see screens as screens work for my family. They work for the way that my son learns. And so it's up to me to determine the type of screen time that he is able to have at that time. For fun screen times like video games and stuff, those are something that he earns. They're not something that my son automatically gets. What I try to do is I try to first put a non-preferred task before a preferred task. So a non-preferred task for him would be his writing. And I make sure that he is aware that first he is going to do his writing, and then he will get a break to play Crossy Road. And Crossy Road is a different kind of screen time than the Amazon workout videos that he started watching and moving to, or Go Noodle, or Inner Explorer, which is a mindfulness meditation program that his school uses. So screens aren't bad, at least in my opinion. It's all a matter about the type of screen and making sure how you order your day, by making sure you're putting a non-preferred item and then a preferred item, and making sure you use language that's like, first we're going to do this, then we're going to this, or when you do this, then you will do this. Just something that works for my kiddo and my family.
Great, thank you, Laura Lee.
Thank you. Yeah, for my family, screen time, because a lot of the stuff I do is around pop culture and what youth are, digesting. They have to watch videos with me. Most of them, my kids are almost 11. Some of them they despise. Like, they don't want to see they don't want to see a conversation between Cardi B and Bernie Sanders. However, they would watch, some of my nature videos, as I'm talking about, arts and science integration. So just framing it has been helpful. Like, now we're going to watch this video. It's going to be Drake or Britney Spears. And it's for me to learn how to better teach young people close to your age. And I bounce ideas. So it's kind of a work thing. Like you're helping me frame a lesson for the rest of the students that we're working with. That's been helpful to Laurel's point. It's all about how you use the screen time. There's another question that I want to talk about, and that is, what are we going to do this summer? I know in Washington State, we won't have school back, and I know it's like that in New York as well. And they're talking about in the fall, high school students not returning to school. They'll be working remotely, and K through 6 will have intermittent programming during the school day. So, students will come to school for 4 weeks, 15 groups, small classes of 15, meeting in a high school because high schools are larger, and then they'll be remote working, and they're rotating the students that way. So programming the entire summer is, my wife and I are pulling our hair out. Any ideas about what you're going to do for the summer would be helpful to the entire group.
I just want to throw out that there are definitely some summer camp providers who have begun to figure out or begun to look at what online programming looks like. I mean, my kids are a little older. This doesn't apply to like really young kids, but things like, and some of these things may be available to folks who would not have been able to take advantage if they were geographically, like if it was a geographic thing, right? Like Camp Half-Blood in Brooklyn. Is a really pretty awesome camp that my kids have gone to for a couple of years. In the summer, they come home so filthy that like I can't let them in the door before they get in directly into the shower. But they have begun to experiment with like live streaming, like mythic quests and weapons building and whatnot that they tried out. I think over some of the, they've tried out a little bit over the what would have been spring break, which we didn't have. So while we haven't taken advantage of the online thing yet, we'll may transition to that. Also Robot Foundry, especially if you have slightly younger kids. Robot Foundry is doing a lot of online classes. I don't know if they're sending materials or doing something that you can build with things you're likely to have around your house, but that would also be accessible to folks from, wherever you are. If you can get online and want to, pay for the class, you can do it.
I also,
like half days.
Brooklyn Game Lab, I know I've gotten really, some of my parents of elementary school and middle school kids have been really, really impressed with their online offerings. I would give a shout out though to some of the nonprofit arts organizations that are really going to be suffering without having their drama camps and art camps running during the summer. And I think like Joy mentioned that we actually have an opportunity to maybe take a class from a theater that we wouldn't, or a museum that you wouldn't normally be able to. So if your family does have the budget for paid summer camps, take a look at what some of the regional children's theaters and museums are offering, because that can be a really great way to support nonprofits who are losing all of their earned income, as well as having quality programming provided. I'm seeing a couple of comments about YMCA is talking about having online options. And so, so if anybody else knows of other, and the public libraries are offering free summer programming, Lisa's offering as well. Somebody was asking about the robotics camp. Was that Robot Foundry? Yeah. Okay.
So my son also attends No Pointer Foundation. They have a really great music summer program for string music, and I'll put that inside of our chat as well. But yes, there are lots of different nonprofit organizations that are figuring it out for their summer, whether it's more virtual work that may give them opportunities to take a class from somewhere across the country, or something locally. So definitely check out and reach out to those organizations and start to think about the summer plans. I mean, the hardest part about the summer coming is the fact that everyone just wants to be outside with each other. That's our summer. That's what we do. We find ways to continue to engage and listen to music in the park and all of the fun stuff we do. And this summer is going to look a lot different. So really finding new ways to enjoy the summer in this very different world that we're in right now.
And I would just add, I had put this in the chat, I think a little further up. It's kind of like, you know, earlier in the year when you start to figure out summer camp, you know, in like January and February or December. And it's that puzzle you're putting together, but in big blocks of time. Now I'm sort of looking at as a puzzle each week of like, all right, there's these online camps and things, some of which I might be ones I've already paid for that are turning virtual, some of which might be free, some of which might be, you know, connecting with family online, and trying to kind of come up with almost like a menu that each week my kids can pick from and sort of say, all right, well, we're going to do, you know, art every morning, you know, just based on what their likes are and what we experience. And also try to put in chunks of time for playing outside in whatever form that may look like. But as a placeholder, not knowing what's going to be open and what's going to be accessible, but, you know, being hopeful for that. So I'm just sort of like looking at it in like 1 week at a time, but doing some of the research now on what are those puzzle pieces that I can bring to the table each week. That's kind of the approach I'm looking at.
The other thing to recognize is that some of us are just getting through the daily. You know, we we don't necessarily have the mind space to really think outwardly to what July actually looks like right now, as much as we want to. And I'll just say that, you know, that's okay. Take one day at a time, because part of this call is to really support you and us as parents in advocating for our own self-care. Because if we don't work on that for ourselves, and, you know, you don't have to feel super efficient all the time, but really thinking about how we are supporting ourselves so that we can support our families. And that's really, really important as well.
That's a great segue. What are people doing or can offer as some helpful hints for self-care? You know, Audre Lorde said self-care is an act of revolution, a political resistance, actually. So I think it's as important, just like on an airplane, to take care of yourself, you know, as you take care of your little ones. So what are you doing? Yeah, Carrie?
I prioritize exercise. Like it's not just enough for me to get out. Like I need to go for a run, or I need to do a workout at home. And my run is not by myself. My son scoots with me, but like, but he knows that I need to, you know, get out of breath. I need to move. And it was tough at first, but now he goes with me. And if I need to work out, he's either doing his work or he even jumps in with me. But I find if I don't get exercise in, I'm not doing well. So I do that. And then like my afternoon cup of tea when I Zoom, it has been, I don't know, there's something really comforting about it. I love it. Yeah.
Definitely. Laura Lee, is that beer? They're like, I'm drinking beer.
It's tea. It's
Oh,
tea.
tea. Okay.
I felt very close to that. So thank you, Carrie.
Hi, I'm Shira from Boston, and I've been doing the Artist's Way morning pages, and I've been doing them like pre-corona, and now sometimes it could take, they usually take me 20 minutes. Sometimes now, being interrupted a million times, it could take me an hour to do it, but I feel like it's like the space where I can just like dump like my emotional dump and complaining and put everything on, you know, on paper. So that's been like a really good thing for me. And like, I try to, sometimes it's harder now, but like to read a poem, like every day, every other day. And that kind of gives me a comfort and a place to like kind of just feel. And anyway, so that's been comforting.
I love a poem a day. Doris?
I started right the week when I started working from home that I'm doing yoga with my neighbor every morning via Skype. So we go to YouTube. I put my tablet towards the TV, and we are doing the program together. So even though we are like physically separated, it still gives us to do something together. Unfortunately, I cannot motivate my 13-year-old daughter to join us for that. But that keeps me sane and gives me some social contact in the morning already. And it was very beneficial for me.
Yes, Melissa?
Yeah, the one thing that I felt like my whole family needed was to differentiate the week from the weekends. So we just changed the schedule because me, my husband, and my son are working so much. My son on school, me and my husband, and my daughter is elementary, so she doesn't have as much schoolwork, but we're all sitting like this all day from like 9 to 5. So on the weekend, it's like, no, I don't even sit in the same seat on the weekends. This is my during the week work seat, and then I move somewhere else just so that we can feel like a different routine, like even ordering takeout on Saturday and just doing grab what you want Friday. So you know that the weekend's happening, so you could just eat junk, whatever out of the fridge. So you don't have to think about dinner on Friday, and then it's starting. And then we watch a movie together Saturday night. And I personally watch a brainless chick flick, whatever. I don't care if it's bad, if it has like a Julia Roberts or Reese Witherspoon, whatever, or Parker Posey in it. I'm watching it every Sunday morning, by myself, when no one's going to talk to me at all while I have my coffee. So just that differentiation of time has been really key.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to jump in really quickly just to make sure everyone takes note of the chat. We're just starting a group poem, and that means that we're going to add a line or two about parents as powerful advocates for ourselves and our families. So anything that resonates for you from that, please add on to it. I'm going to collect all of our beautiful lines and make sure that we can read it at the end. So add on, and please enjoy. I'm enjoying this conversation, so please continue.
I just wanted to second something that Melissa said about families. Something that for our family that's been really great has been finding things that we can do by ourselves, because the four of us in a very, very small space, we tend to do everything together, and finding ways where we can kind of differentiate a bit. And like my husband now has like a poker game that he plays on Sundays where they like do online poker and FaceTime and trash talk each other while they play cards. And I'm trying to encourage my kids to find something that's like just their thing that they're not doing together as well. So just finding a little bit of like independence can be really good too. Something that I'm curious about, kind of like as we're sharing our self-care, is also thinking about like how long-term this situation is going to impact our cultural understanding of working and parenting. What could come out of this in terms of the way that we interact with our jobs and our home life, even when we go back to maybe working out of the home again. So I just wanted to put that out there, that seems like an interesting conversation. It might be a little premature to have just now, but I'm wondering if anybody has been seeing any shifts in that work-life balance in their workplaces.
Hey, Lauren.
Oh, yeah.
I think one of the things has been for me personally, we never could work from home prior to this. It was always you had to be sitting at your desk, and that's when it counted as work. And even though the job can look lots of different kinds of ways, and we could go out to schools and do visits, it felt like you had to be at a desk because that's what the job looked like. And now I'm aware of two things, which is that I can still do a lot of my things sitting at my dining room table. And also that the flip side of this is also in terms of the work-life balance, is that my kids are now more aware of what I do because they hear my conversations with others and they see the screen. And so I feel like even though school is very different for them, my work is not that different for me. I mean, obviously I'm not in schools, but the other part of my work that they never saw, they now get to see. So I kind of feel like it's good to sort of feel like it's not mysterious, and it's still important to do it. And I can't make you a sandwich right now, sorry. But I think it's also been good for work to sort of say, like, listen, I have skills that I can take it to my dining room table and still get the job done.
So one thing I wanted to share as well, thank you, Lauren, for bringing in these ideas as well, because it is a hard place to to go, like, what good is coming out of this? Who are we? And one thing that I really thought about in regards to this is I don't know if there's any Octavia Butler fans out there, but the parable of the sower, in her Earthseed verses, she says that all that you touch, you change. All that you change changes you. The only lasting truth is change. God is changed. And I really believe that we are changing as individuals. Our children are changing, and we are working to shape that change right now. And I'm really leaning into that shaping change work as much as we can, because there's a lot of unknown still present. And I think that space of the unknown is what makes us uncomfortable. But the more we lean into that feeling and knowledge of, like, okay, this is unknown, but I'm shaping what my life is going to look like next every single day, has given me kind of like this point of solace and moment of clarity. So
we're right at 5 o'clock, and I want to keep everybody's time and honor. I just wanted to shout out, and Wéma, I know you said we had a couple of lines for our group poem, if you want to share those out right as we're ending. But I also wanted to call out, Kinsey put up in the chat the link to the face-to-face parent meetup, or sorry, Arts Education Roundtable parent meetup group, which has been an active Facebook page for a couple of years now. And really encourage you to continue the conversation there, share any links or articles that you find relevant and inspiring or encouraging, or perhaps calling out like some of the complications that we didn't have time to cover in this time. Yeah, I see a couple of books and summer camp activities. If anyone finds a really great camp, if you want to share that as well. Wéma, did you have our closing thoughts?
I've got it all ready. I've got it all set up for everyone. In fact, I'm going to share the screen so everyone can see it as well. And thank you everyone for sharing. I love emergent strategy, by the way. That's also something that's been on my mind a lot too. But this is our group poem, and I'll read it out for us for today. Parents, powerful advocates for ourselves and our families. We Zoom, we read, we connect. We reach out through the ether to find each and every student. Trust yourself, because you know what's up. Radical acceptance of myself and my family members. We are creative people. We know how to deal with hard. We may fail a lot and often, but we will get it. Then fail again, then gloriously succeed. I'm so lucky that I have like me people, I think. Flexibility, letting the learning curve happen and inform the next week or weeks. Rearrange the furniture, purge old stuff, change the schedule, add one new thing to look forward to while you're building strong bonds with your family. Don't forget to take care of your relationship with yourself. Shape change.
Awesome.
Good
Thank you,
job,
everyone.
everyone.
Yes.
Worked it
Thank
out.
you.
It's beautiful.
I think with that, let's give just a huge thank you to our facilitators. A copy of the chat box will be emailed to everybody afterwards with all of these resources, in addition to just a dedicated research page. If there are any other camps, books, self-care techniques, please feel free also to email them to Kinsey afterwards. And we'll continue to keep this document as a living, breathing thing. You can also put them in the Facebook group for parents as well. A copy of this recording will be shared, only the main breakout sessions though, or only the main session as opposed to the breakout groups. And then just coming up later this week on Face-to-Face at 4 on Thursday at 4 o'clock, we're going to have a creating online content session. And then on next Monday, we're going to have a meetup for people of color, and that's going to be a slightly longer format. It's going to be a 90-minute session. So with that, we're going to give you about a minute if you'd like to save the chat for right now, and then hopefully we'll see you at a future Face-to-Face at 4. Have a nice day, everybody.